We have Will Owens is going to be our TikTok presenter today, and just already this morning somebody has come up to him just there and said, "I watch your TikTok." So he's well known. He's giving me that look. I just met Will, but I asked him earlier. I said I heard that Will had a great. He did TikToks real well, and so I reached out to him, and he immediately said, "Sure, I'll be glad to do it." Then now he's thinking again. But Will's in the trade show, so when you get down here, you can go visit him in the trade show if you have further questions along that line. But with that, Will Owens, I'm going to invite you to come up and begin. Thank you again for doing this. Yeah.
All right. Hey, y'all. So essentially, kind of the way marketing is going is getting a lot on social media these days. Is that up? Yeah. It's not something I'm proud of, but I have a TikTok, and I farted, and it went viral. So I just started running with it and kept making them, and it's kind of worked out. So I guess I'll start off. All right. So essentially what we're trying to do with social media in general is we're trying to brand. We're bringing value to your farm, value that you're not going to get at Publix or a grocery market. So you can do that. These are essentially the goals right here is what you're trying to do. You want community recognition, versus somebody going to Kroger and getting a yellow squash or a zucchini off the shelf. You want them to look at that zucchini and think of you and go, I got a better place to get it already. And that's what branding does. That's what creating significance in your farm is. Also, it's more revenue, and that's what the name of the game is here. This isn't UNICEF. I hate to say it, but everybody's here to make money and turn a profit. So a quick example, that's just a friend of mine, Jonathan Burton up in North Carolina, and he's got a wonderful Facebook page. And if you can look at it, he's got about 30,000 followers. I wasn't able to zoom in higher than that, but he's got about 30,000 followers. And when he posts something's fresh, ready to go, like his peas or his pumpkins, he's got a wonderful pumpkin patch. People flock to it like crazy. And I know, as a matter of fact, y'all have a good one as well. I've run it across it a time or two. So it works really well for y'all, I'm sure. People respond to it pretty directly, So what you do with building that brand is you also build local steady customers that are repeat customers that are looking for your posts. And when they see them, they're actually going to get in their car and come to you on Saturday or Friday after work. So social media as a whole, the main platforms you probably want to work with are Facebook, as most of y'all probably do, TikTok and Instagram. They're all, people were telling me earlier today something about TikTok and China, and they're all linked together, y'all. It's all the same. It really is. So you'll get recommendations for your Facebook friends on your TikTok. So they're all linked together, but they work differently. And I'm sure y'all probably know this, but Facebook is for an older crowd. It is, the demographics of it are just a little bit different. They are. Well, it wasn't that way back in 2007. Y'all thought we were crazy for it, but now y'all are on it more than we are. So times change and things evolve, and you kind of have to roll with the punches a little bit. And that's why I said I ain't proud of TikTok, because all you see is like weirdos doing dances and stuff like that. But somebody dared me to do it, and I did it, and it worked. But then, I have more friends now, farmers of mine, that are 70 years old that have TikToks. Hell, Kirby Johnson up in Mills River, he's got a wonderful TikTok, and he's one of the biggest tomato growers up there. But you also got Instagram. Now, that's probably most indirect way, and I'll get into that. But it's just something to supplement your social media profile as a whole, as a farm or an operation. So, as I touched on a little bit before, Facebook, the demographics, they're a little bit older. And in my opinion, it's a little bit more centralized. Folks that are around your area, you really don't want to be targeting those people that are way out and away. Like TikTok, it goes for miles. I have people from Australia like commenting on things and sending me messages. So Facebook, you want to stay centralized with it. And really, in my opinion, what Facebook is good for is for posting things. letting people know of calendar dates of when products are ready, letting them know of specials, having advertisement of your products, and actually selling things directly from it. That will benefit you the best as far as is getting your customers the most knowledge they need for your operation. And when you have products, Facebook is probably that platform to utilize it most on. So moving on to Instagram, like I said, it's a little bit younger. And really what you kind of want to have a platform for this is to illustrate your passion and the beauty in what y'all do. Not a lot of people see the pretty things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So the sunrises or the dew coming off of a melon or whatever, makes you tick, post it, make it look pretty, show your passion through your posts on Instagram. And it doesn't have to be, and I'll touch on it, Bailey's family over there, they have a nice roadside stand. And you don't have to post your farming things. You don't have to post agriculture. It can be family. It can show your relationship with your family or your local church. Essentially, you want people to know who you are, not by words, but through your pictures of Instagram, and just kind of see the beauty of your life. It creates attachment, so to speak, like they're one with them. So these are some guys that I work with over in South Carolina, Watsonia. And I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. But there's no talking. They really don't advertise anything. They're not saying, hey, buy this, buy that. They're just showing off their beauty. And they've got a good following. They've got a pretty good following. And it works well for them. So TikTok, what they asked me to speak on here. And I was supposed to have some people in here making fun of me, so I'm glad they're not. That's what, yeah, you are. But Nathan's my boss. So, he doesn't get to see my TikToks. But really with TikTok, your broadband, it can go as far as you really want it to. You can really touch some people out there. So I'd use it a little bit more weary about what you're putting on there. And I'll touch on that in a minute because I did get in trouble for some stuff. But this is probably where you're going to gain the most notoriety. This is probably where you're going to gain the most attention and views, and people are going to know your name, is through TikTok. I hate to say it, but it's just endless scrolling on there. And if you understand the platform, then you'll understand kind of how to make posts about it. This is really where you show off your personality in this platform and try to be fun. You're going to have to grab people's attention. Do something stupid. Like I stuck a pepper up my nose. Just do it. Typically what I do is I do one take, no matter what it is. So if I trip and fall, if I cuss, if I stick a pepper up my nose or I fart, I usually post it. Now I don't know how it's worked for me, but it has. HR knows my name pretty well now, though. But find your niche. That's what I get to in the bottom here. Whatever you're good at, illustrate that. Sometimes I can be good at talking if I'm in the right mood. So I talk or I educate people on produce, agriculture as a whole. Particularly what I do is varieties, mostly watermelons. I do a lot of scouting and crop consulting, and I do the seeds for watermelons. So that's a passion of mine, and I love talking about it. And I get comments all the time, man, you're so into it, you're so passionate about it, and you're good at it. Well, I wouldn't be good at it if I wasn't passionate about it. So whatever it is in farming that makes you tick, make a video about it. It's very simple. But you have to find your niche, like I said. If you're not genuine, if you're not authentic, people think that you're trying to be like Joe Blow over there that got viral for doing a video, they'll smell it right away, and you're not going to have the success you want to have, or you're not going to build the branding like I was talking about, really creating a brand for your company and your farm stand. You really won't do that. So finding, in my opinion, this is the best way to connect personally with your customers as well. Show videos of y'all prepping the land, of y'all laying the plastic, of y'all planting the seeds, or make videos of when the produce is a week from coming off. Talk about the quality of it. But you are going to have to get innovative. You are going to have to get funny. You are going to have to kind of think outside the box a little bit. And the reason why, if you can see these, it's kind of hard to see, but the attention span of people nowadays is like a squirrel. And that video on the right, I think that's got like 3 million views, and that's my video. And the attention span drops off within 2 seconds. It goes down completely. So whatever you're doing, make sure it's done right away, because people's thumbs are way quicker. They're just moving. They're just moving. Now you'll keep popping up in their, algorithm because you're local, or you might have their phone number or things of that nature. But people are going to leave your ad as quick as night if it's not grabbing their attention right away. Oh, another thing with that. You can see right there the video on the left. That video is like 20 seconds, and you can see the retention span. It maintains pretty well. So right away, typically with these videos, they can see the length of it before they even press play. There'll be a little, numbers at the bottom, and that's on YouTube, that's on Facebook, that's on anything. They can see how long the video is. And if they see it's a minute and a half, that's a minute and a half gone for them. So they're on. They're moving on. So the utilization of these platforms. There's a lot of direct sales in TikTok. There really is. There's these things called TikTok Shop, and I think I have a picture of it in my next, somewhere down the line. But there's this guy, and I think I got a video in here of him, but his name is Farmer Froberg, and I met him in person a few times, but he's out in Texas. And they do a lot of canning and a lot of pickling, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. You would not believe how many fig preserves he sells through his TikTok shop. Thousands of dollars through TikTok shop. And all he does is make a video about it and talking about how good they are. And people just click that button. Do y'all have your phone, credit cards linked to your Apple Pay? Does anybody have that? Kind of like 50-50. All you got to do is press one button, and it's ordered, sent to you. So nowadays, everything's about convenience. I was talking to a gentleman at lunch. It's way easier to go on Amazon and buy something in 2 seconds. Just swipe and buy it in 2 seconds, then make a list and go to the store. And that's the way people are nowadays. So if you're grabbing their attention in the first 2 seconds and you have the option to actually spend money at the same time, chances are it's going to add up for you over time. So yeah. This is Cousal, a farm that I work with down in Charleston, Earhart, Fairfax area. And they don't have a real big presence on social media. They have a big presence outside of it as far as all agriculture is concerned. They're very big. But they're trying to create that holistic, wholesome branding like I was talking about earlier with pictures like these in their Instagram, connecting watermelon and events together. So I think they're at a wedding right there. So they're trying to associate, celebrations with watermelon. And that plays a role inside your head, believe it or not. This is that Farmer Froberg.
We love strawberry farmers on the Texas Gulf Coast. Strawberries. Strawberries? Strawberries! A lot of this fruit is only about 20 days from being ready to pick. And as long as we don't get a frost, we're going to enjoy some of those sweet, sweet December strawberries.
Can y'all hear that?
But if we do get a frost, we'll be ready as we're already deploying our hoops in the field. These hoops will keep the frost protection cloth off the plants, and it'll keep those plants nice and cozy. And that's why...
Okay, I think I cut it off right there. But essentially, he's just showing what they do for frost protection. He's giving them an insight into their life. And believe it or not, it makes people feel a part of the operation. When they're going out picking those strawberries later in a few weeks, they're going to feel like it's a part of their farm. And you want to create that kind of experience, especially if you have a U-pick. But in general, as a farm store, that's what you're trying to do. Okay. So marketing your farm. Like I said earlier, honesty. If you try to be something you're not, it's just not going to work for you. So be who you are. Be genuine. Be authentic with it. And be transparent. Don't force anything. Also, if it's not working right away, keep doing it. It's going to take time to get more traction on it. Whether you do like to make a little dance video with your grandchildren or whatever the case is. I'll show a video here in a second of the McCurleys where the grandson was simply pushing some hay, and it got 50 or 60,000 views. More than that, a couple million views. And they have a farm stand over in North South Carolina, and I guarantee you it brought people there. They have a good pumpkin patch and things like that. So, show your life, show your family. Be funny, be educational, find your niche. I can't, nobody's going to be able to tell you what it is. So you just have to figure it out and keep trying. My permits talk to them about that. And that's that video.
Good job. Keep pushing. Focus on what you're doing.
A little more. Push. All right. A little more. A little more.
Push it off the
Right
end.
now, here. Grab the bottom. Grab the bottom and pick it up. Pick it up. There you go. Do it hard. You got it. You got it. There you go. Let go.
So that right there, I bet you that brought them more revenue than they could even quantify, just by being themselves and letting everybody see it. Damn it. Okay, this isn't working.
Good job. Keep pushing. Focus.
Like I talked about online sales directly, this is a perfect example of that. This is just some random thing I saw right when I logged into TikTok the other day, so I recorded it.
Okay, yep, I hear you. Farmer one. So I made this. In the winter's chill and the summer's heat, a farmer works so the world can eat. And that is now in the TikTok shop.
Is that a little button? Well, there's a little button on the left-hand side. All you gotta do is press that button and it's ordered for you. So it's a convenient way to get things done. It's a convenient way for y'all to make money. So, yeah, absolutely. If I can get there. No, ma'am. I mean, there's a button right there. It says back, and I'm clicking it. I think I need a woman's touch. There she. Thank you. Oh, Lord, what I do?
Okay, yep, I hear you. Farmer one. So I made this. In the winter's chill and the summer's heat, a farmer works so the world can eat. And that is now in the TikTok shop.
Like I talked about, kind of videos to make. I didn't know if you really wanted me to get into the dynamics of making a TikTok and how to do it, which.
I know it's a yes, but my Shepherd staff says is a no. But because we have our next speaker, these are our lightning rounds, so they're only 20 minutes. Maybe next year we can't do this short of a talk. But Will does have a table
Oh, yeah. So
in the trade show.
I work for Seedway LLC, and I cover basically the entire Southeast. But we have a booth over there. Madam, I believe it is 200. But do not quote me on that. You'll see a bunch of, it's the vegetable, actually it's a roadside stand. There's a bunch of vegetables and a big roadside stand y'all ought to see. And that's where it's at.
So all of these people are going to come visit you, and you're going to be the most popular man in the trade show.
Okay.
You gave them just enough that they want
Sorry,
more.
I talked a little slow. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Have fun with it.
Do you have a contact information?
I do have a contact. I wanted to show them this. They might like it.
That's what I'm battling today. And you just take that pino and you run it up there like that. And you run it up there like that. And yeah, that burns real good, but it's.
So I cut it off after that. But just what did I get in trouble for? So I had a pollination issue. Well, I got two things, but I had a pollination issue with some squash. You know how sometimes you'll see some yellow squash together like that? And I made a video and I fell. I actually fell off the wagon. And I saw one. I was like, oh, son of a gun, there's kissing cousins. South Carolina, it fits. And but I live in South Carolina, and those are my people. So they loved it, but my boss was like, that might offend some people. So yeah, it was funny though, wasn't it?
All right, y'all. Thank Will.
So, thank y'all. Should I put contact information on there?
All right, up next we have Rawling Mays. He is with Farm Bureau, and just a few talks ago we had a couple of questions about liability. So he's going to roll through this, and hopefully we're going to have time for questions. So yeah, the floor will be open for that.
Can I use
Yes.
Quick introduction. I know these are going to be hard to get through. My name is Rawlings Mage. I'm the Farm Risk Manager with Farm Bureau, Georgia Farm Bureau, and I've been with Farm Bureau 25 years, on the claim side for 10 years, and then underwriting for about 15 years. And so I've seen the claims on one side and then underwriting on the other, trying to stay out of claims. And so I've kind of had the opportunity to see it at both sides. And what I'm going to try to do today is give you some quick, although insurance sometimes may not be as entertaining as peppers up the nose and things like that, it is very important. And because sometimes it may be a little on the boring side, it gets backburnered or maybe it's looked over. But it's very important on farm and commercial, but also to know what you got coverage on your auto and home and other things, because you never know what can happen. We've had a lot of storms coming through and seen a lot of claims. So I'm going to approach it from this way. We do a lot of farm inspections during the year. And I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking for, questions we're asking, why we're asking them, and then look at some other coverages. So just the first thing we're looking for really, and it may sound a little simple, is it a farm? Is what's going on, are the operations actually fit on the farm policy? And if it's row cropping or produce or poultry or the U-pick and dairy and things like that, they all fit pretty easily into the farm policy. And real quickly, most of your farm policies will have some type of parameter in naming what farming is. In this case, our policy words something like this: it's a practice of agriculture that includes, but is not limited to, aquaculture and apiculture operations on a farm premises owned, leased, rented, maintained, or otherwise legally used by you for production of, keywords here, your farm product. It also includes roadside stands, U-pick operations for the sole purpose of selling unaltered goods. So for the sake of time, just remember those two things: your farm product and unaltered goods. So what farming does not include retail or wholesale activity other than what was mentioned in that parameter. It also counts out processing operations that alter your product from its natural state, and then agritourism. So if I have a wedding venue that pops up on my premises, or then I have birthday parties there, or I have a fall festival, or if I transition into selling food and things like that, then you got to be real careful, because you start transitioning away from your farm, and a lot of those things are excluded. So when we go out and look at a farm, we ask a lot of questions about what are their operations. And it's not that we're trying to get into the business and cause problems, but we want to know what's going on, so that if we see something pop up that may cause a coverage issue, that we're addressing that before a problem happens. Some quick examples: if I have a farm owner's policy and I buy a cotton picker and I'm picking my own cotton, I'm good. If I start picking for others for a fee, then I'm doing custom work, and that could be hay baling and a lot of other things. If I love horses and I have horses, but I start boarding for others, I've ventured outside my farm policy, and I've got some coverage issues. And there's a lot of endorsements like that we can just simply add that back. Hunting leases and things like that. Most of your farm policies, you can endorse that right back, so it's not a big deal. But some of the things we see, if we're transitioning into an agritourism type thing, it may be a little more difficult. We have, all these are real life examples. We have a peach farmer who has had an orchard for years, U-pick, and all he sells is peaches, either U-pick or puts them in a basket and sells them. That's perfectly fine. The building he's using could be covered under the farm. His liability is covered under the farm. Well, he started selling peach ice cream. His peaches, making ice cream. Very good ice cream. People come from miles around. But now he has ventured away from farming, even though it's peaches, into a commercial exposure. So now he needs a commercial policy on that building and for liability. And that's how quick that can happen. Another big fad is, I say fad, a great fad is grass-fed beef. So we might have a farmer who has sold beef for decades on the hoof, raising and selling cattle perfectly fine on the farm. But now he's having a third party process that beef, and it comes back in and he's selling an ultra good. So he's still dealing with the same product basically, but now he's gone from farm into a need for commercial policy and liability. And we've seen Christmas tree farms that go into fall festivals and things like that. So once you shift gears, you can leave your farm coverage behind and have a need for a commercial policy. We also, when we're out there, just quickly, we're looking at values of structures. Always keep in mind what you've got on your dwelling, on your barns. If something catastrophic happened, poultry houses, those things, make sure we're up to speed. Equipment changes often. You sell, you buy, depreciates. There's an ebb and flow to the equipment. Pivots were a big thing. They jumped tremendously over the last couple of years, and we found especially if we got replacement cost coverage on those items, we try to stay on target to make sure we get those increased to keep up with that, so you don't have a loss and then all of a sudden we're way under or over insured. We don't want either one. If you have employees, make sure you have employee liability. We can't say that enough. Even if you have the one time a year or occasional employee, you really need to make sure you've got employee liability. So if that employee is injured under the scope of that your employment, and then they say you're responsible, or they pursue you or sue you, that you've added back that liability, that's a big one. And before I forget to say this, liability coverage we're fixing to go into it is important because it does pay for bodily injury and property damage that you're responsible for, but it also covers expenses of legal expenses, so that if it may be a frivolous situation where you are sued, but you're not really liable, but your liability protects you from legal expenses and things like that. So we're also looking at liability hazards on site, whether it be farm or business, and then we want to review those liability limits. Look at your liability limits. Don't cut corners there. I'm a very frugal person. I try to have high deductibles. I try to keep my premium down as well. I know you do too. But don't cut that on the liability side, because that's a very large exposure there. You may have your barn may get blown away in a storm. Your tractor may hit a pole or may be stolen or have a fire. And those are somewhat limited, but that liability, if you're sitting there with a $100,000 liability limit and somebody gets hurt bad and you're responsible, it leaves you very much exposed. It can be a big problem. So we quickly onto the next slide, we talked to our claims folks and we looked at some potential liability claims, or what drives some farm claims. Livestock in the roadway was a big one. So let's just say if anybody's had livestock, they get out. From time to time, doesn't matter how good the fences are, you can do your due diligence. But just because the cow's out doesn't necessarily mean that you're liable if you've done, I think Georgia law says you have to make a reasonable attempt to keep your livestock from running astray or something like that, running at large. But if you're not automatically liable, but if we go out after a loss and your fences look like this right here, this is a real example, you can't defend that. I mean, you're liable if that's your fences. So we do make suggestions. It's not always popular, but we always say, hey, let's keep Bessie from getting hit and let's get those fences repaired. And that's another level of protection so that you won't be negligent if your livestock is running astray. Another one is road equipment on roadways. Farmers have to get from point A to point B, and everybody's not patient with equipment on the roadways. But if you can see in this picture here, this guy has done everything perfect. I don't know if he could do anything else. He's got lights on the cab of the tractor. He's got reflectors on the tractor. He's got slow moving triangle, reflectors on the planter, lights on the planter. So if somebody hits him, pretty well he's got his stuff taken care of. Now, if on the flip side, if you've got a low visibility piece of equipment out, it's a little dusky, somebody plows into you, it could be a gray area. So that's a good way to protect yourself from a liability claim. And then guards and stickers and warning stickers and guards and shields and things. And I understand when a manufacturer makes a product, sometimes it's easier, more effective to remove a shield or remove a guard. But when you do that, you open yourself up to an injury that you would be liable for. I've seen some weird things happen. We've had some bad injuries, but in some cases, the warning stickers are there. The training is there and documented about what to do and what not to do with your employees. And that's just more and more levels of protection against liability. We've all seen these things here. This is actually a Georgia farmer who had his britches removed by a PTO shaft, and thankfully they were removed. But on the flip side to that, we all know what can happen if those clothes don't come off cleanly, and he was fine, but that's an example of how quick you can have an injury and possibly a liability claim on an employee. So, and then the next line of questioning where we're looking for, when are we going from farm and transitioning into commercial? And here's some examples. We talked about the peach ice cream, selling altered goods of yours or altered goods of others, jams, jellies, peach ice cream, things like that. Tours on your farm for a fee. And then all the wonderful things that come with fall festivals, kids. We've got more and more people doing the field trips for ag exposure. But just keep this in mind. When you invite people onto your property, you kind of take on more and more of that risk and that liability, and you have to think safely. So I'm going to run through some things we're looking for. This is a kind of an underwriter's wish list. So there's a lot of specific things in here. Some of these things may not pertain to every operation, depending on size and everything. But when you start having people on your property, you need to be thinking about the warning signs. If kids are going to be coming on a field trip, emergency phone numbers, first aid kits, what to do if a child's lost or injured, and just be thinking about these things if you have employees with your employees before they happen. Fire extinguishers, smoke detectors if needed, and the list just goes on. But really what you want to do here is overthink safety. Think of all the bad things that can happen and then try to build back off of that. If you start serving food, you've got to start looking at the codes and the ordinances, all the hair nets and proper washing techniques and all these things that, for food prep and things like that. And every one of those is another protection for you. If someone gets sick, that's a level of protection against liability. I shifted into the playgrounds. Playgrounds, whether we have them on churches, whether they're at agritourism sites in different places, you really want to have adult supervision. We kind of talked about. Oh boy. If it's high volume, but we're running out of time quickly. But always think safety. Hay rides the same way. If you're crossing public roads, uneven ground, just always be thinking ahead. Corn mazes have become popular. Just let that there for you to read real quick. Water hazards on the premises, that's a big one. If we can fence those off when kids are there, that's awesome. But there are some other things you may be able to do, warning signs and things like that. But you want to be really careful. Kind of like the pool in the backyard. Better to have it fenced, just trying to keep people from being injured. So that, again, you're protecting that liability off of you. Petting zoos is a big one. Most of our folks who do petting zoos have the little bunnies and the chicks for the kids to actually pet. Big animals are away just for safety issues. When we're out and looking, whether it be a barbershop, a florist, or agritourism type site, we're looking at parking lot safety, entrance safety, steps, handrails, anywhere somebody could fall. We're looking and talking about liability. If someone falls, you're not necessarily liable if they fall on your property, and it's probably going to happen. Just like kids get hurt on the playground, it's probably going to happen. But if we have sidewalks like this and someone falls and they can point to this, it's kind of tough. It's in today's legal environment that you not be liable in some way for that. If you have a petting zoo and an adult or kid can get hands into large animals and be grabbed, bit, here we got a barbed wire fence right about eye level for a kid. I mean, be thinking about these things. We laugh about this sign here. If you have dangerous horses that bite, but you allow people to go get bit by the dangerous horses and don't shield them off, then you're responsible for that. And I saw a video the other day where a horse grabbed the woman by her ponytail and picked her up and just threw her. We don't ever know what these animals are going to do. So you be the common sense and pretend nobody else has it and keep them shielded from danger if you can. So in short, finishing up, a lot of information to try to go real quick. Understand your insurance coverage. Know what's excluded, know what's covered. Make sure your insurance company understands exactly what you're doing in your operation. Be clear with them and be honest with them. Communicate changes. If you are brainstorming about doing a different activity, go ahead and find out what repercussions that is on your insurance. If you're going to do a zip line or if you're going to have kids riding animals, some insurance companies may not touch that. So you want to know up front, what is that going to mean for me? And then evaluate your liability limits, understand what that liability does, and you can do some changes. You can do umbrellas, you can do underlying limits increases. There's a lot of things you can do, but make sure you have your liability where your assets are covered. And if you're going to go into something different, this is a really good site. A lot of checklist and insurance information and state codes and stuff in there is very helpful. So with that being said, we're probably out of time, but do we have any questions? And we talked about playgrounds. If you have a small playground with 3 kids on it, it's a little different with supervision than if you have some of these places that have 35 kids in each station. If you have that many kids, then you would maybe want to take different action. It kind of depends on what your volume and activity is. But in today's environment, it's almost a losing battle for insurance companies and landowners if someone gets hurt on property. But any other liability questions? Yeah. And insurance companies can be picky, can't they? And insurance companies are picky sometimes. Yeah. But it's because it's because of things that have happened too, in the way. I mean, I know what you're saying, but yeah. All right. I do not. I do have a handout in the back that has all this stuff kind of in a nutshell, if you want it, about the transition from farm to commercial, and then some common liability issues. But I don't. I can give him my phone number. I don't have it on here.
That's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry.
All right. I would love to invite the Greens up here. The Hunts were not able to make this trip. They had like a surgery that was unexpected. So getting through the hospital. However, Earl and Leanne were so gracious to answer my call for help. And so here they are. And I love their marriage.
Oh, good. Glad you do. We can. You want to sit still?
Yeah, I'm good.
You don't
You
want
talk. Oh, no. You talk on that.
Okay. Well, we are glad you're all here. We were wondering if anybody would even care to talk about marriage, and I bet him that no men would be sitting here when we were standing up here, so I was wrong. I lost the bet.
I was hoping most of y'all was going to get up and leave, but y'all didn't.
I said the wives are going to drag the men in here to talk about marriage.
Surely they're not going to sit there and listen to me talk.
We own Green Acres Farm up in Cochran, Georgia, and we do, well, we're going to let you meet our family and tell you how we're qualified to even be standing up here talking to you today. So this is my husband, Earl. I'll introduce you to him. This is Farmer Earl on our farm, and you'll see him in the picture, and right beside him is our baby, Kara Ann. And Kara Ann is 6, and in the middle is our unicorn Stella with her red hair. Stella is mean, and she's 13. Does anybody understand? I mean, I need some therapy if anybody's got some therapist on hand from that one. And then we've got Sarah Kate. She's standing there by me. She's 9, and of course, that's me on the end.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
So we bought the farm actually in 2017. It used to be known as Tom Sawyer Farm. So Mr. Tom retired. The farm was closed for about 2 years. My wife decided we was going to buy the farm. This is about that marriage thing, and I just went along with it. I worked there since I was like 7 years old, so I knew how much work it was. She didn't. Now she realizes. So in 2018, the paperwork went through. We actually planted our first crop in 17 before we actually even bought the farm. But if you grow strawberries, you know that's all the year before. So we went ahead and put the money in, done all that the year before. Paperwork went through. We bought it in 2018. So we do strawberries, peaches, blackberries, a little bit of tomatoes, a little bit of produce, mainly just to get people out, have something else to fill the baskets up with while they're there. We do a little bit of you-pick flowers, and mainly we do all of that to sell ice cream. So if you don't like strawberries, get ice cream. If you don't like flowers, get ice cream.
And the mean 13-year-old made these slides for us, so we have to give her the credit. She made them for her Beta Club. She was in the marketing thing for Beta, and so she's like, Mama, I had those slides. Do you want to use them? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, since you're going to be nice to me today. So we do Fall Frenzy on the farm, which we grow our own pumpkins. We did our own You-Pick pumpkin patch this year. I don't know what all of you guys do, but if you're not doing pumpkins and you're doing fall stuff, you need to try it, because the University of Georgia has seeds now that'll grow in our region, and they loved it. They absolutely loved picking their own pumpkins. I mean, you can order pumpkins in and just set them out, which is what we've always done and what most farms do. But we did implement that this year, and we saw a huge increase in people coming out in October.
So we also do Christmas on the farm. It's another thing that getting married. I always wanted to do. Was a huge Christmas light display right down the road from us. We all grew up going to it. It was the Trip Family Lights. They got older. Their kids got grown and gone. They didn't have anybody to help them do it, so they stopped doing it too. I talked to Leanne. I was like, I really want to buy them lights and start putting up those lights. And she was like, we are not doing Christmas lights. We do way too much. So I won that one. We got the lights bought. We got them put up the first year from all of our friends. Mr. Joe and Mr. Marie, who we bought the lights from, they came out and helped us. Their kids came out and helped us. Needless to say, 7 years later, the people who was there to start with, they don't help us anymore. They'll come by and feed us, and they'll say good luck. So they put in their dues. They helped us the first 3 or 4 years and got them all put up. We do right at 1 million lights. It's a lot of Christmas lights. I lost all of my barns and all of my shelter. I've lost everything I had to park equipment under, or we could store Christmas lights. So, but tractors don't make money; they cost money. Christmas lights make money. So that was Christmas on the farm. We started that the first year, and it's grew every year. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I always tell people that we're really not married the month of November, because this talk is about being married. So we're divorced November the 1st when the fall field trips stop, and we get remarried when we open Christmas lights Thanksgiving night. I don't really talk to her for about 20 days. Because if
he growls at me.
You ever tried to put up a Christmas tree for a woman, you know, you're like, and she's like, no, 1 inch to the left. 1 inch back. I'm like, there's 1 million of these. We got to put it in the ground. We got to go.
Okay, so are we qualified to be standing here talking to you about this? So we just wanted to let you know that we do think maybe we are. We've been married for 18 years, and you met our 3 little girls. And we are co-owners of Green Acres Farm, and we have been for 7 years, and we have all of our eggs in one basket. This is what we do. He and I do it. This farm was not handed down to us. Our granddaddy did not own it. We bought this farm. We paid a lot of money for it. We're paying a lot of money for it. Every January, Ag Georgia Farm Credit. We're paying a lot of money for it. The Lord definitely brought us to it. He's provided for us through it, and I'm not complaining. But he's a multi-generational farmer, obviously, with his family. But this was something that we did together. We're both full-time all the time on this farm. And we are still married today, standing in front of you today.
We made it to Savannah this morning, and we didn't get divorced, so we're good.
And we're complete opposites. So we're going to tell you on the next slide. I'll let him tell you how I'm opposite of him.
I ain't right going to read this.
So while he's looking at that, Earl focuses on the farming aspect of everything. What I say is he's the get dirty guy. He can fix anything that's broken. I've never seen anybody like him that if he's just too stingy and too frugal, he will not hire anybody to fix anything. He's going to fix it. The older it is, the better it is to buy. He doesn't think you should buy anything new ever.
Always in your pocket.
And
it's the difference in driving home and walking home.
He is yes, y'all see what I deal with. He is
pocket knives, in case one break.
He is we call him our protector and our provider in our house.
My hay strings in my jacket.
He's a big bear. He's got a lot of patience, y'all. A lot of patience. And crowds of people are not his thing. This is really hard for him. He'll sleep for 2 days when we get done today. He prefers solitude and alone time. So I, on the other hand, am quite different.
She's a busy bee. See, I tell she loves it. She loves to talk. My part of the farm, like she said, is growing stuff and trying to keep the people alive. The insurance stuff was great. If you don't do ag entertainment, you need to think about the worst kids you ever had in school and try to keep him alive. So that's a lot what I do is, all right, that kid's probably going to climb that fence. What do I not need to have on the other side of it, you know? That's a lot of what I do. And what she does is all the marketing. She says I can't spell. So I do all the numbers. I'm a math guy. I do not spell. Even though I'm the only one that has Facebook, she's off Facebook for like a year. But if anything I post on Facebook is her posting. I don't do that. I can't spell. But she does all the marketing. She does all the finances. She does the hiring and the firing. Employees, you know, y'all work employees. Some of them's got to go. She does all that stuff. She does all the interpersonal relationships with people on the farm. I try to stay away. That's probably my fault. I don't really have a medium switch. I have a on and off. So I try to stay in the off and away. All the planning, we do a ton of field trips. So she does all of that stuff. She does all the emailing back and forth and are they coming and are they not coming. And we've finally figured out how to work Google Calendars. You know, we're almost old enough where we don't know how to work smartphones, but we're forced to use them. So the time before Google smartphones and Google Calendars, she would book 2 field trips on the same day, wouldn't write it down. 9 school buses would show up.
Remember, I told y'all he's patient, right? Did y'all hear that part?
She would be there by herself with 9 school buses. It's like I booked 2 field trips today. What are we gonna do? I was like, we're gonna roll with it. Let's go.
We're gonna move on too, because I don't want to get.
Pros and cons. If you work with your spouse or think about working with your spouse, there's really no hard way to balance work from life. Like your work partner is your wife, and it's hard to turn those lines off. So we might be out to dinner trying not to be Green Acres Farm, and then we'll see something on the wall and start talking about business. So that's
How many of you in here work together and are married? Are there? So there's quite a few of you. So you guys y'all could get up here and talk about this. Y'all know. That's been really hard for us. I told him in the first year after we bought the farm, we both left really good jobs, like just walked out. And about a year after, we were laying in the bed one night, and I said, I think we make better business partners than we do a married couple. And he pouted for 3 days. He moped around and stared at the floor. I broke his heart. Like, I just was telling the truth, because in a year of this, you just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it, and he didn't know how to do it. We had to figure it out. We either had to figure it out or stop. We figured it out.
figure it out. So you didn't have some conflict. That's you.
We just, yeah, absolutely. Y'all know, everybody in here's probably been married or a few times maybe. Conflict and managing emotions, that's hard anyway. And I'm telling you guys, I say all eggs in one basket for money, but that goes for everything. When you're working with somebody and sleeping with somebody and living with somebody and parenting with somebody and doing everything with the same person all the time, and you are complete opposites, it is draining sometimes. Now, I'm just joking. We really do get along really well. We're great partners in work, and we're pretty good partners in life. The 13-year-old's gonna kill us, but having all of our eggs in one basket is kind of scary for money purposes too. Like y'all know, it's really hard to think about. Like, he doesn't drive off and punch a clock somewhere. I don't drive off and punch a clock somewhere. We're punching our own clock. So.
That's you also.
The pros are definitely, it strengthens you because we came to several stops the first few years of owning this business, and we were able to overcome them in one way or another. And every time we did that, we were like, wow, we did that, and every time, and we still do. We still come to stops, and we will until the day we die. But it does strengthen our bond, and we both understand the pressure of what we're looking at and what's happening on our farm. And like Earl said with field trips, he hit on that a little bit, but he's not lying. If any of you do field trips on your farm, definitely take the worst kid you've ever seen in your whole life, and he's going to try to kill himself while he's there. We had a kid crawl in our donkey pen at Christmas, just over there with our donkey. Like, you don't do that with donkeys, y'all. I mean, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, the parents just let him get over there, and we're all scrambling trying to get the kid out of the animal thing. And trust. We absolutely trust each other. I'm the spender, he's the saver. So, no, but we do trust each other, and we know that if we hand something off to each other, that it's going to get done. He was telling a worker the other day, we were talking about coming here to talk about being married, and he said, I know if Leanne's in the kitchen, I don't have to worry about the kitchen. I know she's going to handle the customers if we have a problem, but Leanne can't be but one place. And I know if Earl's in the parking lot, he can handle the parking lot, because we have upwards of 2,500 people come at one time.
This is usually the face I get in that parking lot.
And I sometimes say other words, but yes, we had a couple of issues this year. Not as many. This year was a lot calmer, but when you've got 2,500 people on your farm, and that's a lot. That's a big liability. Wherever the liability guy is in here, that's big, and I mean that's enough to stress anybody out.
City folks can't drive.
Yes, people from the city, they can't drive. They don't know what to do. So, suggestions for success. These are our 6 suggestions for you if you work together, and it really go for anything. Long suffering. So this kept coming to mind. Having or showing patience in spite of troubles, especially those caused by other people. Got to be long suffering, y'all. I mean, it's not easy. Marriage isn't easy. Marriage isn't easy when you work jobs and you are never together. It's just hard. There's no other way around it. You have to work at it. You have to choose it every day. You got to wake up and choose it every day. Self-control. Does anybody love self-control in here? Anybody got New Year's resolutions to lose weight and figure out how good self-control y'all have? I'm not great at that. So in particular, one's emotions and desires or the expression of them in one's behavior, especially in difficult situations. Earl's better at that. He's much better at self-control than I am. And I'm way better at communication than he is.
Obviously, she's doing the talking.
Don't ever assume that your partner knows what you need. Don't ever assume that. Men are very simple,
don't
ladies.
Assume she told you when she really didn't. She told somebody else, but she thought she told you. So before 2,500 people show up, make a clear game plan of who's going where and what's doing what.
That's communication. Make a clear game plan.
Yeah.
That's what I should have put up there. Men are simple creatures. I mean, they are. We overthink everything and overanalyze everything. Men don't. I mean, men are simple. They're like, well, you didn't tell me that. And you're thinking, well, that was that simple just to tell you, you know. Clear goals and priorities. We have goals. We have personal goals. We have business goals. We do take time to map out those goals. When we're making decisions, of course, we put our daughters forefront when we're making those decisions. And we've learned to put ourselves, I think, don't you? I think we've learned to put ourselves.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
I think we've learned to put ourselves first and put Green Acres Farm second. Maybe. We're trying.
According to what season it is.
We're trying. The work-life balance is really hard. If anybody has any suggestions, we'll take them. That's really hard because it's hard to separate that when you work together. It's because when you come home and you don't work together, what do you talk about? Work. You talk about what went good or what went bad, or that's just kind of normal, and that's what we do too. And who knows better than him what I went through that day, or vice versa, or I fuss about an employee because he makes me deal with them. And just be grateful and thankful in all situations. Just be grateful and thankful. If we all woke up in a warm bed this morning, we all have our stomachs full. We're here, so we paid to get here. Somebody paid for us to get here. We're learning, we're growing, and we just it's a game changer. Just learn to be grateful for what you have and where you're going. And grateful for each other.
That's it. Didn't I do good? So y'all got any questions? Kelly says we got like 3 minutes left.
Tractors do make you money.
Tractors make, well, they do. They make you keep from breaking your back. But.
He was just joking. He was just, oh goodness, did you agree with me?
He had to have that new tractor because the new one's way better than the old one. Just look how much time it saved. Like I just got my tractor.
We already started an argument on the first row, ladies and gentlemen.
First tractor I got this year had a bucket on it. Game changer. Got me a hay fork for the front of it, some spears. I don't pick up nothing. I just drive. If I can get my tractor over there, it's picking it up. And I point from the cab. Hey, you can put that up there.
I have a question. Do y'all have like a shared calendar or anything?
We do. We have we just use Google Calendar. And so I just put everything on there.
Everything's on there. Like everything.
Because, with the girls' schedule and our schedule and the farm schedule, we do get things mixed up. Now, I did not double book any field trips this year, thank you.
You did good last year. We didn't have 12
But I
buses show up
have, y'all. We have so many funny, I could stand here and tell y'all so many funny stories of things that we've gone through and situations on the farm. But, yes, we do. We have a Google Calendar that we use that, it populates as soon as you put it in there, whoever you invite to it. And we have a couple of workers that we'll include in things that are farm related. So we're all on the same page.
Yes, sir.
What kind of staff size do you have?
Everything's fluid because the seasons change. So strawberries, blackberries, peaches, it's usually about 4 or 5 people to run just the U-pick side, about 2 or 3 in the kitchen. 2 or 3 in the field, got a tractor driver, and of course us. Now field
10
trips.
or 12.
We don't actually have like an inside retail space, so everything's open air. Now our U-pick is kind of different from our agri-tainment side. We do U-pick every day, so you can come in, not pay. It doesn't cost you anything. Come pick strawberries. You can buy from our kitchen, or you can bring a picnic or whatever you want to do. So there's about 5 people every day. in our kitchen and our staff in our fields. And then field trips takes about 5 people just for the field trip. And then like October and Christmas, you're looking at 16 to 18 employees every day. Because you got 6 or 7 in the kitchen, you got 3 or 4 in the parking lot, you got 6 or 7 out and about, keeping the kids from killing themselves. So.
And the seasonal labor is one of the things that drives me up the wall. I do a lot of it. I'm the general manager of the farm. We have 70 employees in summer as well.
Yeah, and you never know who's coming, who ain't coming. You know, they don't care about your business. It ain't their pocketbook.
What kind of network do you use to, like, you go to schools, you do the paper, you go on Indeed, Craigslist, how do you go?
Word of mouth.
The last 2 years, we've been really lucky. If some friends of ours, childhood friends, moved back, they have 4 kids. We work their 4 kids and them.
They're homeschool kids.
So we are very fortunate.
Get
with
your
that.
homeschoolers. There's a lot of homeschoolers around.
Yeah.
Well, we don't.
And they grew up farming, so I mean, they knew how to put up fence. They knew how to drive tractors, you know, so it wasn't just somebody that didn't have a clue. Now,
And we work with a skeleton crew. We found that it works better for us. The more people that we've had on staff, the more problems we have. So we just suffer through it. Me and him just put in work of 3 people ourselves and suffer through it. Staff is that's a whole nother issue.
it's 70 acres on the one we actually operate every day. And we're only using roughly about 45 acres of it. A lot of it's pasture. But I mean, for October and Christmas, it's an 8 or 9 acre pasture just to park people in. So, well, that's a trick question. What row spacing would you like for me to? I started.
We do 75,000 plants.
Yeah, 75,000 plants is the best way to go.
But he does it on the smallest row spacing. So
I have been all the way to 9-foot row spacings. I've been to 5-foot row spacings. I'm stuck at about 6-foot row spacings. So it's over about 4.5 acres. We do.
we do live on the farm. We never
leave.
get away. That's why when Kelly called, we're like, yes, we'll come to Savannah. Megan, can you pick the kids up today? Yeah, we live there, and it's rough. And we're actually in the process of building on the back side of our farm, and we told with that because we have land elsewhere, and we thought about going and building on that land, but his family's around that land, so we decided to stay away from that.
We decided
That's
better,
another talk too, y'all.
better to get on a golf cart and go to work than it is to have to drive 10 miles down the road. You know, in the middle of the night, you're doing strawberries, the well breaks. Well, now I got to go 10 miles over there and fix this well. So it's a lot easier just, I get on the golf cart, make my rounds, and then come back home.
And it's kind of hard on the girls too to live on the farm, and we do so much.
Comment, I will mention I was very grateful to grow up on the farm. I could not imagine having done otherwise. I think I'm the person I am today because of it, so I think you're doing good.
Yeah.
I want them in that.
Will you tell the mean one that? Can I get that on camera for you? I know.
Yeah.
And then question, what are you doing blackberry acres wise?
We're only at an acre of blackberries right now. We had right at 4. Some of the old ones was really, I saw you pick, so we took out the old ones. We need to be back up at about 3 acres. But if you've done blackberries lately, I mean, trellises is high.
I have 13 acres left.
Yeah, so you know. So we're going to do about 3 acres is what it's going to take to do my U-pick. So I buy a lot from a neighbor down the road, so kind of supplement until I can get those 3 acres up and going. But I've got 1 acre in production. We're doing another acre this year. Of course, you know, it's 2 seasons before you get anything off of them. All right, Kelly.
Oh,
Go ahead. You got one?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great thing you as a couple in America in these days and times to encourage other couples. Because at one time, there was a staple in America that husband and wife team were on.
Right.
But now we have laws as a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a blessing that y'all doing those things to encourage the next generation being exposed with the kids.
Right. Well, we appreciate
well,
it.
thank you.
I don't think
and we
we
think
could-
so too.
I don't think I could do it without my wife. Like, I wouldn't want to do this with somebody else, you know. I wouldn't. Because that's like the trust thing. I can, you know, if she's over there, she can handle it, you know. I don't think you would have that with like another male, somebody that, like your brother, you know. Like, what, did he really fix that, you know? I don't know. He just told me he did, so.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank y'all so much.